Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update with yours truly on this smashing Saturday. As always, we have a hell of a lot to get into. We're going to be starting things off with a speech at an event that I was at yesterday in Europe. You'll notice I'm not in my current location. We're currently in an Airbnb in Slovenia. And ultimately, we were at a conference yesterday, and there was a number of speakers, a number of really interesting speakers. Probably the most interesting one for me was an individual from Mastercard. And we're going to look at a shot that I took from that speech to start the video off. An interesting thing was they kind of have four phases, and the last phase is full integration with the cryptocurrency space, which is a while off, she said, but it's something they're actively working towards, and they're taking smaller steps in regards to merchants to kind of enable that bigger step where Mastercard systems integrate with the cryptocurrency space. The Trump effect is truly taking hold, and we're going to be looking at that through the representation of inflows in ETFs. $22 billion in one single day yesterday, and it's fastly approaching a record. It's only $55 billion away from a yearly record of inflows. We will be looking at that, also talking about the Bitcoin ETFs, which have done unbelievably spectacularly. This is only going to continue and actually accelerate. And the beautiful thing about ETFs is it's not boomers. It's not the large pool of money that's actually buying these ETFs. It's relatively small money. It's more retail money, believe it or not, that's using these institutional products to actually buy these ETFs. So there's some good and bad news there. The bad news is boomers aren't here yet, and the large pool of money isn't here yet. The good news is that's still to come, and that's really going to prolong, I think, the upward price action that was confirmed on the breakout of that broadening descending channel that we looked at. We said that was a key event, and that the markets were likely on that journey to the next leg. We didn't know that Trump was going to win his presidency, but again, technical analysis kind of gave the way. And some really interesting news in regards to ETFs is that the Bitcoin ETF for BlackRock is now larger than their gold ETF. Pretty huge. There's rumors also that China are likely to unban Bitcoin in the next 2 months. One thing from the conference that I was at is China have banned Bitcoin. It's not quite the case. And there was somebody from China who works in the crypto industry in China talking about actually how there are still people mining Bitcoin in China. And what essentially is happening is it's kind of like if you're in favor with certain individuals, you're not going to get bothered, basically. So even there's a ban, it's kind of a soft ban. And there might be the unbanning of, in relation to Bitcoin mining, this is, of the crypto space more broadly. Then we're going to talk about sentiment once more. Because the bad news is there's nobody interested in crypto. The good news is there's nobody interested in crypto for me and you as investors right here, right now. We know the trajectory of this space. It's technically signaled. It's fundamentally signaled. It's macroeconomically signaled. And it's an amazing time to be alive and in the crypto space. Then we'll finish things off with a little bit of price action. So as always, guys, we've got a hell of a lot to get into. Let's start things off with a shot that I took yesterday. Yesterday, I was at a conference here in Europe on blockchain. It's why I've been traveling ultimately to get to this conference. The likes of Saifedean, the Bitcoin standard guy, was speaking. He announced his new book, which is actually the gold standard. And it very much talks about what the world would have been like under a gold standard. And he makes the argument for it would have likely been a better place. Not sure I agreed with everything, but I certainly agreed with a hell of a lot of it. And Saifedean is, of course, a legend in the cryptocurrency space. But there was a talk that was given from an individual at Mastercard. And this was one of the slides. There was a couple of slides. One was looking at the 4 phases that they plan to roll out crypto integration. The 4th phase was essentially the full integration with the cryptocurrency space and enabling of it. We're further back than that, but this was another slide. And what this highlights is it highlights the digital asset industry consists of multiple layers and is connected to traditional financial systems through a set of enablers. If you look at the cryptos that they mentioned that Mastercard are sort of working with, you've got the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Algorand, Polkadot, Solana, and then you can see, you know, some of these sort of banks. And JP Morgan, on Trump's victory, because they're on there, we might as well talk about them a little bit because Jamie Dimon's been so zealously against Bitcoin, is actually basically flipped his tune on Bitcoin entirely in the price appreciation of it, which is interesting given how zealously he's been against it. But, you know, that's what these bankers sort of do. But this was really interesting, and it kind of concretes and cements. Mastercard is a large sort of vendor, if you will, the direction of this space more broadly. And there was there's so much that confirms the broader direction of this industry. And it's just an unbelievably exciting journey to be on. The Trump effect is truly, in effect, again, Eric Balanchunas, Flowmageddon, a Trump-inspired gusher of cash, what a great word, is flowing into risk-on ETFs. 22 billion in one day is absurd. That is normally a good week. Year-to-date net flows now at plus 856 billion, 55 billion away from a record, and the rolling 1 year has passed $1 trillion. Have a feeling the T will be there for a while. And this was all technically signaled, remember, guys. So not only did we look at a smaller, let's go on my meetings, because we looked at this going into FOMC and we said, and at the time you had some Iran-Israel conflict, and we said, we don't think that's going to escalate. We looked at a number of smaller patterns. Bitcoin, very much, lots of patterns for Bitcoin that take us to the upside. That's called confluence. This squeezing pattern here gives you ultimately an 84K price prediction. We had a similar one for the S&P that took you to 6,200. We were looking at that in this sort of triangle. It's very much made its way up there. We had a similar one for the US 100, Nvidia, and MicroStrategy, which is very close to making it, actually. And of course, Tesla. Everybody's talking about Tesla now. We did give you back, I think it might have even been a sub 200, a 505 target for Tesla that is very much marching towards. Amazon, very much on its journey to the target we had all the way back there. But let's stop boasting about how right we've got the stock market. The Trump effect is a real one. We ultimately believe Trump was going to win based on how miners, Bitcoin, and the markets broadly were signaled. We think he's more bullish for the markets than his opponent. And of course, he has now won, and we've seen the Trump effect really take hold. When we look at Bitcoin specifically, Hoover City, Bitcoin ETFs took in a record-smashing $1.4 billion yesterday. This is just in the US, by the way. The Trump effect, IBIT alone took in $1.1 billion. That's $6.7 billion in the past month and $25 billion year to date. All told, they feasted on about 18K Bitcoin in one day versus the 450 mined. Unbelievable, isn't it? And that's just them. And are now 93% of the way to passing Satoshi's 1.1 million BTC. And this is somewhat scary, but also a bullish thing for the price action. And we now have Bitcoin passing gold's ETF in terms of BlackRock's IBIT products. Truly something amazing going on. Some news, some rumors circulating around the rumor mill is big breaking. China likely to unban Bitcoin in the next 2 months. Yeah. This has been circulating for a while. We're not 100% sure on this. One thing that was interesting again from the conference was an individual talking about how in China it's, yeah, okay, they banned Bitcoin, but it's kind of a soft ban, if you will, in many, many areas. Let's talk a little bit about sentiment before we wrap things up on price. This is from Benjamin Cohen. He's highlighting some of the large YouTube channels out there and looking at the sentiment. It doesn't reflect the price of Bitcoin. That's because institutions have led this. We've looked at Google Trends as a barometer for people interested in the crypto space right now. Yeah, there's been an uptick, but generally retail isn't here. They will come and they'll drive the altcoin market. And you're starting to see altcoins across the board really popping off. I mean, Cardano had a great day yesterday. You can see this. Remember, we've got falling wedges for all of these, just like we do for Hedera, Algo, Link, Sol really starting to march up. Something like Shiba, this will squeeze and set up continuation. Doge made our falling wedge target. The world truly is ours, guys. And ultimately, when we look at BTC, we have a set of broader patterns that give us confidence that it's going to the upside. And there's all fundamental news that we're covering and the Trump effect that we're covering, but this was all technically signaled. And the breaking of this broadening channel with a retest is confirmation of the next leg that's going to likely take you above 100,000 for Bitcoin. Well above 100,000 in my opinion. Who knows where we're going to get to this cycle high. It's anybody's guess really, isn't it? We have 130, 155 or 151,000 and potentially a 309 target if it's to follow the likes of what VanEck Semiconductors did. But all roads lead to Jerusalem, so to speak. And it's a very unbelievably bullish time to be in the markets, certainly the cryptocurrency space. And we see continuation for the markets across the board. And the overperformance of the cryptocurrency industry as a whole, it's still yet to even be allowed to be an industry. We're going to see headway on that in regards to a new regulatory sort of administration, very likely with the ending of Gensler. Very interesting on Powell's speech. Somebody asked, would he go if Trump asked him to? And he basically said, no, I don't think Gensler has the same authorities to resist like the likes of Gensler. So that's it from me, ladies and gents. I hope you all have a smashing Saturday. I'll see you all in the next one.